Data Doesn't Lie, your go-to for the science behind the art of parenting.
Hi guys, welcome back. This week, like I said last week, we have a special guest joining us, and you probably have figured out who it is. It is my mother, Dr. Grace Phoebe. She is a retired public health ophthalmologist, and she's currently doing her God-given job of being a grandmother, she so describes it, to many grandchildren, the closest of which are 4 of them, and by closest I mean closest in distance. So we will be talking about plants and children, and there were other things I wanted to talk about this week, like the movie, I think it's Hair Love, that won an award at the Oscars, because I'm truly feeling my natural hair right now. But I picked this one. I picked Plants and Children because this one I think is more exciting. So you can imagine what we have in store for you. So grab a pen and paper, grab a cup of coffee or tea. I'm going to grab a quick cup of coffee, and when we get back, Mama Grace is going to join us and we'll dig in. Welcome back, guys. So guess who's here? Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Welcome. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Oh,
right.
Okay, cool.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. So, I don't think you guys know this. My mom, Dr. Grace Phoebe, is a master gardener. And master gardeners are volunteers, university-trained volunteers that serve as educators in their communities. And the Master Gardener program actually originated here in Washington State. So, we're hearing straight from the horse's mouth. We truly are. So tell me, what made you want to talk about children and gardening?
Well, something happened the other day. I was cooking in the kitchen using spring onions.
Oh yeah, you told me.
And you know spring onion has large leaves.
Right.
And unknowingly, one of these leaves fell on the ground. And of course, my granddaughter was loitering around, and she picks everything that she
needs to go in the trash.
Needs to go to the trash, and she picked up this spring onion leaf and went straight to the trash can to
put it in. Yeah.
But then, as I watched her, she opened the trash can, stopped, looked at the leaf, and decided she wasn't going to put it in the trash can. So she closed the bin. And I was curious what she was going to do with it next. And she walked over to the window where there is a house plant.
Right. The jade plant.
And put this leaf
in the ground.
And planted this leaf in that pot.
Yeah.
I was so amazed.
Yeah.
I hardly had time to grab my camera
to catch
and
picture.
Take a picture, because this was quite amazing. For her to decide to go plant this leaf. And it dawned on me that this child has grown within a short period of time.
Yeah, she really has.
And her intellectual skills have so much developed so far as plants are concerned.
Well, that's because of you, because I don't have a green thumb. None of us have green thumbs. This house is a greenhouse right now because of you.
Well, she observes me go around, plant, water. She helps me water each time she sees me with the watering can. She grabs it. She wants to pour it in the plant. She wants to dig and put the plants in the ground. And for her age to intellectually process the fact that when you put a plant or a leaf or whatever in the ground, it grows up to be a plant.
Right.
And that's what just happened.
Right, exactly.
Because when she grabbed that leaf and decided, as I said, she
her
was going to
intention was
trash
to put it in the trash, and then she changed her mind.
She changed her mind
and went to go plant it.
And she was so happy,
so excited.
So happy with herself, jumping and clapping, and she saw it just looking like one of the leaves in the pot.
Yeah, that's true.
So it got me thinking, is this possible? She is only 19 months old.
Yeah.
And developmentally, I wonder how fast this happens.
Right. So, and I guess that's what made you decide to sort of look up in addition to what you're learning about gardening and how it affects children, you wanted to also look up the science behind how children develop around gardening, and that's what we'll talk about. You let us know what you found in terms of what skills and how developmentally it affects children and gardening. So stick with us and we'll be right back. So we're talking about the science behind the art of parenting. That's what this is about. So in particular, children and plants. So in terms of the science and the thing and how children develop with plants, what did you find when you were looking this up?
Well, I then went looking, and let me tell you that it's a whole lot of things that children would benefit from when they garden or learn about plants. They have the locomotive skills, which they like picking objects and taking them one way. The body control, as the child carries something and walks around, they are young, so their body, they learn how to control themselves. Sensory skills,
yes.
They feel, they touch, they know that things feel differently, so they do
textures.
Aesthetic. Look at the garden, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Children will learn the colors.
Yeah.
It's a whole range of colors. You look at other things like gustative. Children like to eat or take or eat what they have grown.
Yes.
And so the best way for them to kind of like texturize or determine what something feels like is first put it in their mouth. You keep saying not in your mouth, not in your mouth. It's just that they're learning.
They're learning. Yeah, they're exploring the environment.
They're exploring the environment. And I want to come back to the intellectual aspect of it, because that is what makes our children future stewards of Mother Earth.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Why? Because they learn as they garden to take care of these plants. They know if they don't water the plant, if they don't give them nutrients, they don't weed around them, they will die.
That's true.
So these children, by doing that, they develop this intellectual skill about the outcome of what you plant, the way you take care of, what it becomes tomorrow. This will make them, I believe, the greatest stewards for taking care of the planet in the future.
No, that's a very good point, actually, because actions have consequences. So if you take care of a thing, it will live, and if you don't take care of a thing, it will not live. So
exactly.
Especially now that we're dealing with a lot of climate change, and if some may even call it a climate crisis, it's a very good skill and a very good intellectual process to go through at this age, so that as they grow up, they learn and it stays with them, and they impact it, or they do it in their everyday lives.
Exactly. But don't forget, that's one skill. They learn to spend time with you.
Well, that's true. Yes.
You enjoy, and you as a parent, you also learn a lot from these children. You learn. You know what they like, what they don't like, what colors they don't like. And I believe these children become more creative in their imagination.
Yeah.
I see the way my granddaughter runs around the earthworm. When she sees an earthworm, she's so happy, she's excited, she knows what an earthworm is. She runs after the ladybird, she wants to pick them up. So you observe them as a parent, and you kind of like can determine the kind of guidance you want to give them concerning gardening or teaching them about nature or whatever. I think it's quality time spent together.
That's very true. And because you like gardening, it's perfect quality time for you. Someone like me who doesn't particularly get pleasure from it. I find different ways of spending quality time with her, But I think it's a very special bonding experience. I'm so glad that you guys get to do this together.
Right.
And for those parents or for those people who don't particularly like gardening, there are other ways your children can be exposed to garden and plants. And that's through school gardens. And it was very interesting because as I looked this up as well, when you mentioned that you want to talk about this, I went looking also for some data just to sort of support what you're saying. And this article was actually published in the Journal for Food Science and Nutrition.
Right.
And they were looking at and talking about gustative skills, about children putting things in their mouth. They wanted to find out what the short-term and the long-term effects of a school garden would have on children in terms of vegetables, their self-reported preference for vegetables.
Right.
So in this day and age where obesity is a crisis, and this is important to talk about because children's preference for vegetables at a younger age is an indicator for obesity and being overweight in the future.
What they eat in the future.
So they looked at about 150 students, and these children were aged 10 to 12 years of age. They did a survey before, they did a survey afterwards, and then they matched them to a control group of similar students. And in that survey, they were looking for if they could identify 10 vegetables, how they reported their preference for eating vegetables, as well as their ease and willingness to do outdoor activities, to cook, and to grow and to have a garden. So looking at the short term, after the 7 months of being in the school garden, they responded to that survey. The long term, they waited 1 year and then came back again and asked them the same questions a year later to see if it would have an effect.
Right.
And they found that to the students that had been exposed to the school garden for 7 months, they actually had a significant increase in their self-reporting for preference of vegetables.
Wow.
I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's very amazing.
Actually, I'm not surprised because, as I earlier said, children, they want to eat what they grow or they have seen grown or they have taken care of. So I think I believe it.
Yeah. So it was reassuring for me, for those parents who don't particularly like gardening or growing vegetables. If you're not lucky or blessed or in the space or time where you have someone around you growing vegetables or growing or taking care of plants, know that school gardens offer the same benefit to our kids.
Right.
But
so we need to encourage our children to participate in the school gardens.
In the school gardens, exactly. But that being said, as excited as we are about gardening and all things gardening, we have to be safe, right?
Right.
We need to do it safely, and we'll be talking about some tips for safety with children and gardening. So here are some safety tips on what to do to keep our children safe as we garden. So what do you have for us, Mama?
Safety is very important, and this we must not play with.
Yeah.
So I would advise to use plants or house plants that are not poisonous.
Of course, right.
And know these plants.
Right.
Right.
I don't know them.
Soil you're using, make sure it doesn't contain harmful objects or sharp objects or like snakes or whatever.
Right, exactly.
If any chemicals, keep them far from children.
Right.
But most of all, read the notice of that chemical.
That's true.
Be familiar about the first aid that concerns
The
that,
chemical
the
you're
chemicals,
using.
and you must be able to apply them.
Right.
And also be have emergency numbers
Well, that's true,
close
right.
by. Yes, emergency should anything happen,
Right.
you must be able to call. And also be aware of your environment, because if you are in the garden, there might be sudden winds and a branch might fall.
That's a good
or
point,
there's
yeah.
some decaying tree somewhere, and this might actually fall on the kid, because sometimes they want to play and everything.
Yeah.
Be aware of your environment.
Right. That's,
And
those
I
are some
think
good
those
points.
are some of those, and I'm sure you can come up with a
yeah,
lot
I
more.
have just a few more. I think you covered most of them. The only things I would add would be Of course, never leave our kids unsupervised when they're
Right.
playing in anything, right? We've talked about this across the board in bath time, medication, now with gardening. Just don't leave them unsupervised because they are curious little human beings and they will get into everything they can.
Right.
So supervision is important. 2, actually have tools that are appropriate for children to play with, like gardening tools that you
Right.
use. A lot of them are sharp or heavy,
Right.
or they can put in their mouth and things like that can actually hurt them. So have tools for children that they can play with, and then keep the other ones out of reach, away from them, and they can't get to those ones. And lastly, create a garden environment that is child friendly, right? So all of this is child proofing. Create a garden environment that's child friendly, and then teach them the rules. You know these rules, we know these rules, but also teach the children the rules as you're interacting with them in the garden.
Yeah.
So it sticks with them for longer. And you can actually have little cute signboards with rules and say, don't go here, or don't walk here, or don't step on this rock, and things like that.
Right.
So when they know that they get to that point that is a little more dangerous, they see the sign there and they're like,
Exactly.
okay, we won't go there. So yeah, I think those are our tips for you this week, guys. Thank you for joining us, and I had fun. Did you have fun, Mom?
I had fun. And I
This is
hope
really
you had
exciting.
fun.
Yes, this is very exciting. And I think we'll do this again. Now and again, we'll come up with a topic where we both,
Right.
like talking about, and we'll kind of chat about it. And I will post, of course, the links to the website in the description box below. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us.